Hello and welcome. I'm Brett Connor.
And I'm Royce Connor, and this is
The Best We Can Do.
Here is the best we can do on today's episode. For the first time in the Best We Can Do history, we actually got an audience suggestion for a topic. Someone wrote in to us at hello@thebestwecando.com, and they sent a suggestion. So, Sarah, thank you so much for sending this suggestion, and thank you for listening, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. You're great.
Sarah, I think, very thoughtfully wrote to us saying that she would like us to talk about what it's like to be an adult. In fact, I think she phrased it, I think I have the quote right here. Why didn't anyone tell us this was going to be like this? Sarah, we hear you, and today we're going to talk about what it has been like to become an adult.
Now, Sarah, I'm going to tell you and everyone else listening, Royce, you want to do an episode on what it's like to be an adult after I literally just saw you eat a bowl of marshmallow cereal.
It's not just marshmallow cereal. This is Count Chocula. It is the best marshmallow cereal ever created. It is the best cereal in the history of diabetes.
I'm just feeling that you get to a certain point in your life and you don't eat Count Chocula anymore.
Well, that's because people don't eat it the right way. Folks, when I have Count Chocula, sure, it starts off like any other kiddie cereal you might have had, but I add an adult element to it in that when I'm done and I'm left with that chocolatey milk at the bottom of the bowl, I go to the liquor cabinet, I grab my Kahlúa, I pour some Kahlúa into the bowl, and I have this delicious milk chocolate Kahlúa cocktail after my Count Chocula because I am an adult and I can do that kind of thing.
So, Royce, thank you for sharing that. In case you're wondering, people, he did put Kahlúa in his Count Chocula milk.
It's so good.
And then we sat down to record a podcast on being an adult.
I do have some Kahlúa in my system now, that's true. But believe me, that's pretty much like any other day.
Well, it's not hurting anything. So here's what I find interesting about being an adult. The difference between what I thought being an adult meant when I was younger and what the actual living experience of being an adult is.
You have these fantasies about what it's going to be like to be an adult when you're a kid. And you're right. The fantasies don't often align with reality.
Right. So I remember thinking adult meant you can do anything you want. Anything you want. And you'll never have any consequences.
I remember thinking that I would have the freedom and the ability to go to McDonald's anytime I want and have quarter pounders with cheese and chicken McNuggets every day. That is what being an adult must be. I can have McDonald's every day for dinner and no one can stop me.
Oh, absolutely, Royce. Or, hey, I can stay up all night and just watch TV, do whatever I want. When it is 9 p.m., I want to go to bed.
Yeah, you think you're going to watch all these movies that you're not allowed to watch. Like, we figured out a way to watch them as kids, and I want to go to bed. You're right.
So there's this huge gap between reality and a kind of fantasy of adulting, which makes me think, what does it even mean to be an adult?
Ooh, that's a good question, Brett.
I feel sometimes people think it's a number, right? You get to a certain age, and then you're an adult. By law, you turn 18, you're an adult. Have you ever observed the behavior of an 18-year-old?
I have been to the Oakland Zoo, yes.
Yes, I wouldn't say that's the kind of behavior I normally associate with adult.
No. 18-year-olds, you're wonderful. I feel like we probably have a big 18-year-old audience out there.
Oh, we are definitely handcrafted for 18-year-olds.
They beg to listen to us, I know.
That's right. Move over, Cardi B. We're taking over.
God.
So we know that it's not just an age, and I hate the language around adults, such as age is just a number.
Oh, that is such a stupid phrase. Age is just, only two kinds of people use that. One is old people. Old people will say that all the time. Age is just a number, so even though I'm 70, I'm going to be skateboarding today. Ugh, get off the road, Granny. But I also find young people use it as an excuse to sleep with rich old people.
Really?
Yes. If you are a 22-year-old dating an 85-year-old fossil who is mostly dentures at this point, you'll say, age is just a number. We fell in love. We met online and it's just happily ever after. Clear.
I totally agree. This notion that age is just a number is what people say when they're just uncomfortable with their own age.
Agreed.
So this has nothing to do with really being an adult. It has nothing to do with the number, because the number is ridiculous.
It also is ridiculous that when you turn 18, we are happy to send you to war, but we refuse to send you to the local pub.
Agreed. Either you're an adult or you're not an adult. Even though the law might say you're 18, you're an adult. Well, we don't think you're an adult. Because there's lots of things we won't let you. You could try renting a car when you're 18. Good luck with that.
Yep.
Good luck with that. No, not going to happen.
So when do you think someone makes that transition? And it doesn't happen overnight, but there is, at some point, someone makes that transition. What do you think, Brett? When is someone an adult, or at least close enough?
See, I think the answer is not a when answer, because the age means nothing. I think it's more of a what. What are you doing? How are you responding and acting and behaving in this world? That seems to be much more definitive of what it means to be an adult.
I found it to be, I've worked with young people quite a bit during my career. I have found, from my perspective, one makes the jump from child to adult when they realize that adults are smart. Sometime in their teens, every teenager thinks every adult they meet is stupid. Their parents are stupid. They don't know anything. Their teachers don't get them. They don't understand what's going on the news. Why are these old people making all the decisions? They think adults are stupid, and they think they themselves know everything. A person becomes an adult when they realize that's wrong. That in fact, these adults, who certainly you're allowed to disagree with them, and they're not right about everything. But when you realize, people older than I am do in fact have wisdom, and they are in fact right about a lot of things, that's when you've entered the adult club.
Interesting. But doesn't it also point at one of the fascinating contradictions of aging, which is at that time where you're being perceived as being wise, your memory is falling apart.
I don't know what you mean.
Who are you?
I forgot the name of this podcast 10 minutes ago. I remember once I called my doctor in a panic because for about 30-second period of time, I could not remember my husband's name. I thought, that's it. Send me to the ward right now. He talked me off the ledge, but forgot that. I can't tell you how many places I found my car keys. I found them in the freezer once.
That's not a place you put your keys.
It's not a place you're supposed to put your keys. That's where you put your misbehaving children.
Oh, I like that. But it does say something about aging, of being an adult, which is you're expected to do two things. One, expectation is you are very wise and have a lot to contribute. And the other is you are forgetting a lot of things and you are unreliable.
It's true. Everything's just harder. Things are harder as an adult than you think they're going to be. Because again, as a kid, your thought about what adulthood is it's very easy. Life must be so easy as an adult. And you find out it's just one new hardship after the next. I have found, so in small, like forget just big ways like you have to pay taxes and rent. It's small things like my toenails. Like I am now old enough to have one oddly colored toenail. It's just, I guess, something that happens. I used to be able to cut my toenails with a tool I would get at CVS or Walgreens. And now it's like I need to use a tool that I need to get at Home Depot. Like I have to really push down, and it's a major pain. Like when did cutting toenails become so hard? Why are my toenails falling off?
You have to prune your own feet.
I'm basically topiary at this point.
Thank you for admitting to our listeners that you have mangled toes.
Oh my God, my toes. My toes look like overcooked bacon. Fine. Is that what you want to hear, world? Ugh.
No one wants to hear that, but we will accept the fact that you have tremendously deformed feet.
I went to a pedicurist once. She recovered.
Those gyms have a stomach of steel.
Well, they train them well in Vietnam.
A stomach of steel and a chainsaw.
Ugh.
You know, another thing I find fascinating about being an adult is you've been around long enough to see so many changes in the world, small changes and big changes. Yet you remember the world as it once was. And this memory overlays your experience in the actual world of today. So you're constantly living in two worlds simultaneously, the world as it is and the world as it once was. For example, have you ever found yourself giving instructions to somebody and you say, all right, you go 2 blocks and then make a right at the Target. Well, the Target is a Target now, but it used to be a Safeway. Oh, well, it also used to be a Woolworths. All 3 of these worlds is living inside your head.
The world of used to be. I lived in Rhode Island for a long time, and I found that was a very New England way to give directions, where things used to be. Take a right where the mall used to be.
But it is true. It is certainly part and parcel of being an adult that you have to keep track of a tremendous acceleration in change.
Oh.
And maybe that's part of what it means to be an adult, when you realize how much the world changes and how much you need to keep up with it.
Our bodies are changing so much as well. I don't want to become these middle-aged men who just talk about their health maladies. However, I don't think we should talk about the big health malady. We can talk about cancer in its own episode later. Bring popcorn to that one, everybody. But
it's delicious.
It's the smaller things now I didn't have to do. I have not had my first colonoscopy yet, but I feel like that's right around the corner. There's some Louisville slugger waiting for me out there in the world. Can't wait for that. I used to get Google ads for vacations to Mexico and for new shirts and suits. And now my ads are just erection pills and adult diapers.
You're going to all the good sites, Royce.
I don't even know if you can get an erection wearing adult diapers.
I think it's good that you don't know that.
My day is coming.
No pun intended.
Oh my God. This would also mean I need more of the anxiety medications that I also get ads for.
But that does seem to be, in being an adult, you have to accept the fact that the things that you used to do, you are no longer able to do, or it's not acceptable to do.
Oh,
and that can
true.
be true even as you're what's called a young adult. A young adult isn't really supposed to behave like a child.
Yeah.
But a 35-year-old is not supposed to behave like a young adult. It would be strange for a 35-year-old to behave like a 21-year-old.
That's true. And yet 35 is the best time to go to Disney because you have money that you've never had in your life and you don't have to do all those dumb kid things.
Unless you bring your kids. And then you have to do all the kid things through them.
Oh, yeah, kids. I keep forgetting they exist.
Isn't that, though, one of the hallmarks of being an adult? Children. Having your own children.
I find, Brett, that not having my own children is also a hallmark of being an adult for me.
See, and that's an interesting point. Having a child doesn't make you an adult. Now, if you have children, and I have children, you don't, our experiences as adults could not be more different.
That's true. I get sleep.
I get sleep, not as much as you do. I don't have near the freedom that you have. I have a world of responsibilities that you don't have. And I don't think either of our adult experiences is in any way diminished by the choice you made whether to have or not to have kids.
I look at your experience and I'm very happy with where my life is.
I can see that.
You, like all parents, give these wonderful speeches about being a parent has given me joy like I've never felt in my life. I've never known happiness like this. And it's true. You clearly do experience a joy like I've never seen. However, I also see you experience this dreadful pain and anxiety and anger all the time. And you know what? I think I could do without both of those. I don't need this greatest happiness, and I don't need this greatest anxiety and pain. I would just sit here with my Count Chocula and Kahlúa and be perfectly content with my life. Thank you very much.
Royce, do you think that the fact that you chose not to have children, that you were perceived as any more or less of an adult because of that?
Probably not. I think that's more to do with the fact that I think men in this society are more forgiven for not having kids, but women still to this day hang over their heads that you're not quite a woman until you've been a mom. but I don't think anyone's ever said, you're not really a man until you've been a dad.
I think there's something to that, Royce. I do agree. I also think there's a club parent.
Mm.
And if you're not a member of that club, those who are in the club do treat you a little bit differently, don't they?
I was a teacher for a while. There were plenty of parents I wanted to club.
You take my point, though.
I
like
do, yeah.
the haves and have-nots, when it comes to children, like there is a huge perception there, but it doesn't mean that you are not an adult.
I think adults with kids should hang out with other adults who have kids. Because as an adult without kids, I don't want to hang out with their kids. I want to hang out with other adults who don't have kids. This is why I love adult-only resorts. Oh, perfect. Sign me up.
I once made the mistake of saying something that had a different meaning than I thought it did. And here's what I meant to say. When I like going to a film, I like going to films that are made for a more mature audience, that have more complex themes, things that are different than the superhero, shoot 'em up, bang 'em up, that kind of thing. But what I said was, I like adult movies.
Ooh, yes. Probably not a great thing to mention during the job interview. My brother likes the adult movies. Do you hear that? He has 3 kids listening at home. Dad likes adult movies.
It's true, and I say that, but it doesn't. Isn't it interesting in that sense? The word adult, it's a negative.
I love adult movies. Nothing negative about that. Another nice thing about not having kids at home. Plus, you could save it now onto your hard drive and not have to hide it underneath a mattress or something.
Good choice, good choice. Royce, do you know one thing I do like about being an adult?
The adult movies?
Oy. No.
Oh.
There's an element of being an adult that means you do not have to care.
That is so great. And that only gets stronger as you get older. This permission that we have as adults to say whatever we want, especially as we get older. Like, I'm too old to care about this. I love it.
Oh, it's enormously liberating that when you're an adult, while you are being saddled with more and more responsibility, which definitely is part of being an adult, you are also allowed to care less and less about the things that are not important to you.
I do not care about nosy neighbors like I used to. Like, let them be nosy. I don't care. I have my own life to lead. I don't care what song is number 1 on the Billboard charts and what woman who's mostly made of breasts is singing it. I don't care.
And nor should you. And that's the whole thing. No one should care about these things, or no one should feel that they have to think a certain way, they have to do things in a certain manner. You don't. And as you become more and more of an adult, part of the gift of it, you get to choose what you care about and you can discard the rest.
That's right. Like they say, know thyself. That's Cardi B, I think.
But I like that part of being an adult. I find that as I've gotten older, my obsession with what other people thought of me has almost entirely disappeared.
Oh, that's fantastic. How freeing that must be, Brett.
It is so nice. And it's not that I don't care what people think of me. You always have to have some concern about the way you're seen and how you portray yourself in the world. But I just don't lose sleep over it anymore. I don't.
You have new things to lose sleep over now.
I agree. Things that have come into my life, like children, I care tremendously about my kids. And I really don't care what other people think about the decisions I make or the clothes that I wear. It doesn't mean anything to me anymore.
I don't lose sleep anymore about a new project that is due in the office, but I find myself losing sleep around things like, what will the world be like for my nephews when they are the adult that I am now?
I hear you. And Royce, one thing I like that we're doing here is we have given ourselves permission to try something totally new and stretch in this new direction. And it's hard to start something.
Yeah, particularly at our advanced old middle age.
But we're at an age now where I think a lot of people would be hesitant to try something new.
After a certain age, we're not encouraged to try something new. We're no longer eligible for the top 20 under 20 or the top 40 under 40. There is no top 60 under 60.
Absolutely. Nobody's interested in that. And nobody thinks that someone at this time of their life is really going to successfully start something new and take that kind of risk, especially this kind of risk, which is public. right?
True.
We do put ourselves out there. And part of really sort of not caring about what people think of me means you can think whatever you want of me and you can think whatever you like of this podcast, but they are two different things. You can love me and hate the podcast. You can hate the podcast and love me, or you can love us both and hate us both. That is okay.
Our tens of listeners have been very supportive so far.
All 10 of our listeners have been very supportive. It's true. And thank you, Sarah, for listening and giving us this conversation topic. I think it's been really interesting.
I appreciate you, Sarah.
I've enjoyed having this conversation with you, Royce. But I do think when we talk about being an adult does not have to mean anything specific.
It doesn't have to mean you have to be happy all the time. It doesn't mean you have to be sad all the time. It doesn't mean you have to have your schedule full every day. It doesn't mean you have to sit around twiddling your thumbs. The way you are being an adult is exactly the right way, folks.
Absolutely. And if you want to spend your adult time, and that sounds worse than I meant it to be.
That sounds so good. I'm going to get some more Count Chocula Kahlúa right now.
That's the beauty of it. You can have your Count Chocula and you can still be an adult. You can make that decision and you do not have to care what your brother Brett thinks of it.
You hear that, Booberry? I like it.
No, Booberry would be an abomination.
Disgusting.
Yuck. Folks, you do adulting the way you want to be an adult.
That word, adulting.
I do hate that word.
It's
sorry.
a stupid word.
I'm so sorry I said it because I hate it too. But anyway, I stand by it. You're doing it right, folks. You're doing it all right.
You embrace the things that you have done and loved and been successful with, and embrace new things as well. You be an adult your way, but also build a new way for you to be an adult. Adulthood has been wonderful so far. Much better than I thought it would be as a kid, even though I do have far less McDonald's.
I agree. And even though it seems more and more difficult as the years go by to reach my feet, I've loved the experience of getting older and being an adult.
At least we can see our feet. That might not last forever.
Yeah, call me next year. I'll tell you if I can still see my feet.
Oh, God.
And from what you said of your toes, maybe it wouldn't be a bad thing if you couldn't see yours.
I took that personally.
You should. That will wrap things up for this episode. Thanks to our theme composer, Seth Weinstein.
And thank you, besties, for spending time with us today.
We know you're doing your best out there.
We can't wait to see you again soon. Like and subscribe so we can stay in touch.
You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, and Blue Sky.
Find those links, other information, and email us at www.thebestwecando.com.
For now, I'm Brett Connor.
And I'm Royce Connor.
Next time we'll try to do better. But for now, this is the best we can do.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.